Bankrupt the fish? I don't want to bankrupt the fish. Can I be blunt? Can I be blunt about something? I don't know why I always say that. I'm going to be anyways. I recently went to management and I forget what exactly like prompted the conversation. Basically, the management, I was like, the conversation led here naturally. I didn't just like hit them with this out of the blue. But I was like, yeah, I kind of just expect that as Face Connect grows, everything is gonna get worse. And eventually, like, I'm gonna have to just leave because everything's going to be so, like, micromanaged and everything for the sake of sponsors. And management, needless to say, management was like, I got like 5 paragraphs. I got like 5 paragraphs from management asking me what did I mean by this. And so I tell management, I'm like, well, yeah, like eventually everything's going to need to be like very sponsor friendly, and everything's like, that's just the natural order of things, and it probably is like better to be independent like in this day and age and everything. I was talking about how like I see like all these other streamers that I look up to like becoming independent, which probably gave them a heart attack. I don't think that's what they want to hear. I wasn't like saying this like I'm gonna leave right now or whatever. Oh, the catcher fainted. Well, but I was like, yeah, like I was just going doomer mode. I was going doomer mode. Nearly killed the fish. I had no plans of graduating or anything. I wasn't trying to like trauma dump or whatever. It's just like the conversation like naturally led there. And I was like, oh yeah, like here's how I feel about this. And many paragraphs later, a couple hours later, I had my fears. What's the term? Assuaged? Like you see, like I brought up, I was like, you see this with like all these companies, right? Of like VTuber companies get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the more they do, the more restrictions that get imposed, and the more miserable it becomes for the talents. And I was like, this part might have been a bit much, but I was like, yeah, basically like the only reason like I'm really staying is because I have like FOMO of like, if I left, like I don't think I'd be able to like collaborate with the people in Face Connect anymore, and I don't want to lose out on that. So like I don't want to like miss out on that stuff, you know? Like I treasure the relationships I've built here. And I didn't mean it like so certainly. Like it's not the only reason. It's not the only reason for me staying. But that's like the big thing that would make me like never actually ever consider pulling that trigger, you know? Because it's like it's something that just cannot be undone, you know? Finna be shunned like an ex-Jehovah's Witness. Not quite that bad, but like being blunt, right? Like there is this culture with VTuber companies where it's like you can't collaborate with your ex coworkers. It's just not done, and you can't even publicly interact, really. You know, you just. It's like very, yeah, you're kind of persona non grata. Like even if you leave on good terms, like there could be like hints and stuff, and like you can get permission for like special events or whatever. What was it that assuaged your fears? Oh, management was basically like, first of all, you're schizoing. You're like kind of like mentally checking out before anything's even happened. And I was like, yeah, I'm easily influenced, and I see all these creators that I look up to, that I admire, that I aspire to be like, and they're all leaving their companies and shit. And so of course, like it's gonna affect me more than it realistically should, because we're not even in like similar situations, right? It's not. So that was one thing that they said, where it's like you're being preemptively tuber about this. Like you haven't even like we don't have like crazy restrictions or whatever. And I like brought up some stuff that they had said before, and I was like, here's like proof that we're getting more restrictions. And they were like, we meant this as like a general like guideline thing of like, let's not like overdo certain things, and like if we do some stuff, like be aware that like Pokemon ROM hacks, right? Like here's an example of this. So like management brought up like, oh, Pokemon ROM hacks. Like there is a very real possibility that how they meant it is that there's a real possibility that as Face Connect like gets bigger, like we're not going to be allowed to do that anymore, right? Like that's just the reality of it. Of if like Nintendo came along and said like, hey, you're a company, you guys can't be playing ROM hacks, like it would no longer be allowed in the company. So be careful, you know, like be aware of what you're doing, basically. I don't know if Nintendo would notice or really care. They let so many ROM hacks live. Was that the squirrel that yelled at you? Similar. Equally fat. Right, so FaZe won't get sued, yeah. We're not a Japanese company anyways, but we do have a Japanese branch. So it is important to remember that though we are not a Japanese company, and though we, in the English-speaking branch, do not need to get perms, I think the JPs get perms for everything. I believe that the JP talents do have to get perms for games. I know the JP members are very by the books. I don't know how that works. I don't know if all of them are getting perms or not. Oh, Clara had to stop playing Elden Ring because of perms. Oh god, this Moltres is gonna die instantly. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. All the JPs have to get permission. But yeah, so as FaZe Connect grows, so that's like another thing that like a member of management like brought up casually, I guess. And to me, it like registered as like a death flag. I was like, oh fuck, here we go. Our management at one point, like many months ago, was like, realistically, we should be getting perms for things even in the English-speaking branch. And I was like, it is so over for me. It is so fucking over for me. I think having to get perms would be my final straw. Because I would never get perms. I would never get perms from Abanogi or anything. They would just ignore me. I know it. And like, Cobblemon? There ain't no way we're getting fucking Cobblemon perms. There's literally not a chance in hell we're getting Cobblemon perms because Cobblemon shouldn't fucking exist to begin with. I seem to jump to conclusions a lot. I would say, yes, I'm being unreasonable, and I am being a bit unreasonable. But I do prefer to do things like by the books. I don't like, what's the term? I don't like being like shady, you know? I don't want to be like, oh, well, management said that we need perms for this or whatever, so I got perms to play Minecraft. I will now play Cobblemon and shit like that. It's like I see like how other companies in the VTuber sphere are doing, and I'm like, everything is gonna be taken away from me. But I'm being schizo. Being schizo. FaZe Connect is laid back. FaZe Connect is very laid back, very accommodating. I need to chill out. I kind of like look at VShojo and I'm like, oh man. Whenever things start going south for them, that's when I know. That's when I'll know that it's over for me. Because we'll be next. We'll be next on the chopping block. Because VShojo is a lot bigger than FaZe Connect. VShojo is also not really like in the Japanese sphere as much. You know, like Hololive and Nijisanji are Japanese companies. VShojo is an American company. So if they go after VShojo for perms or basically like anything like that, I'll be like, all right. I just get spooked. I love VTubing, and VTubing's been in such a rocky spot. You know, it's like at first it's like VTuber corpos were where it's at. Well, first it was like in the Western sphere, right? It's like, oh, there are no VTuber companies in the West. There's Sundaria. That's it. And then VShojo came along, which, by the way, I still resent the fact. I'm still holding this grudge all these years later. I still resent the fact that VShojo advertised themselves as the first American VTuber company. That shit still grinds my gears to this day. Sundaria was first. Now they're dead. So, whatever. Doesn't actually matter. But anyways. So, it was like there were no VTuber companies in the West, really. And then so like indies were like where it was at, right? Whereas like the biggest indies in the VTuber sphere had like 2,000 viewers, and it was just such a different atmosphere, such a different vibe, you know, everything was still like fresh and new. And then VTuber companies started to become more and more of a thing in the West, and then Hololive released their English branch, and Nijisanji had the English branch, and it's like, oh, like there's so much going on, and VTuber companies are doing so well. And now so many VTuber companies are falling apart, and you have all these like corpo VTubers leaving, and you have all of these like micro corps fucking dying, perishing like a month after they launch, and there's just so much going on, and it's like I feel like I keep waiting for motherfucker. I'm like looking and waiting for like all those new indies to join a company, and I keep like logically they'll go to VShojo if they go to a VTuber company, and I just keep like waiting for like the announcements and stuff, and it's like every day that they don't join VShojo is another day that I'm anxious for the VTubing sphere. on the company side anyways. Because I'm so invested in the company side, both as a viewer and as a talent.
Everybody, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Low Effort Clips. That's right, Low Effort Clips, right here on YouTube.com. Yeah, and hit the notification bell. Yeah.